Let's begin. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Dear Lord, we're very grateful. We're grateful for our children, for the gift of their lives that you have given them to all our parents here and entrusted them. We ask that you give us your grace, your peace, your guidance as we work to help form them into the people, Lord, that you have created them to be. We entrust them into the hands of the Blessed Mother and her maternal care as we pray together, Hail Mary, full of grace, Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Saint Peter,
Pray for us.
okay. That's good. You'll get used to that. In the name of the Father. Saint Peter, pray for us. Great. Go ahead, Gina and Katie.
Okay. Well, first we want to welcome everybody. We really wish we were doing this in person. Typically, we have it's primarily put on by Dr. Freitag, and then Katie and I just jump in and mention that we are in charge of the mentors for the new family program. So hopefully everybody has heard from their mentor family. If you haven't, please reach out to Katie and myself, and our emails are on the Zoom invite, and let us know. So we thought we would just kind of get everybody together and go over some of the questions that you might have. We know COVID is probably at the top of everyone's mind, so we'll probably address those first. And then we do have a list of kind of pre-submitted questions. Oh, also just to give you some background, we came to St. Peter, I want to say it was 6 years ago now. So I have a daughter who just graduated 8th grade. I have a rising 7th grader and a rising 5th grader. That 5th grader started in kindergarten at St. Peter. So I've kind of made my way through all the grades. And then Katie specializes in the youngers.
Yeah, both ends of the spectrum covered. Yeah. So I have a rising 4th grader, a rising 1st grader, and then a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old at home. So kind of have both ends of that covered. Hopefully we can, either ourselves or the mentor families can answer any of your questions. But before we get started with those, I wanted to just make a little bit of time for introductions. So you've met Dr. Freitag. Diane, you want to start?
Sure. So my name is Diane Wagner. I am the development director for the parish and school. And then I also help with admissions. And I always say my job description is other duties as assigned by Father Jack, which is always a different new day. I have 3 children. Our oldest just graduated from high school. And then our youngest is going to be in 8th grade at St. Peter. And then I also have a rising sophomore boy who goes to CBC. All 3 of my kids went through St. Peter. My youngest 2 started in the 3-year-old preschool back when we still had 3-year-old preschool. So we've been around for a little while. And Mrs. Mankus had 2 of my children. So you'll get to meet her in here. Yes.
All right. We'll have you, Mrs. Mankus, since Diane gave you a little handoff there.
Sure, that's a little segue. I'm Amy Mankus. I am beginning my 16th year in the kindergarten classroom at St. Peter. Prior to that, I was teaching in the South County area for another 15 years at St. Matthias the Apostle before they were needing to close their doors. I am a mother of 2, grandmother of 5. Happy to be continuing my career at St. Peter. I love being there. I enjoy the family so very much, and know that you will be supported beyond belief in any effort that you need to be supported on, either scholastically or spiritually or socially, emotionally. So we're so very happy to welcome you to St. Peter.
All right, Mrs. Skaggs, you want to go next as the other kindergarten?
All right, Becky Skaggs. I just finished my 20th year at St. Peter. Some days I think, oh my gosh. Anyway, I have 2 kids also, and we're fortunate that they're also at St. Peter. So I have one going into 6th grade next year and one going into 3rd grade. So it's fun for them to, go to school with me, and I'm still cool. So say hi.
Like that.
So. Yeah.
Great.
And ditto what Mrs. Mankus said.
Mrs. Hannikin, there you are.
Hi, I'm Amy Hannikin. This is my 3rd year at St. Peter, starting my 3rd year. I'm super excited to be here. It's a phenomenal school. My husband and I have 2 boys. One will be 20. Will be a junior at Webster University. My other son is 16. He'll be a junior at Webster Groves High School. But I've taught at different preschools around the area, and I'm thrilled to be starting my 3rd year here. It's a phenomenal school.
Wonderful. And last but not least, Mrs. Yeager.
Well, hello, welcome. I'll first tell you that I taught kindergarten at St. Peter 4 years, and now I'm very happy to be in the 4-year-old program. I've been in early childhood education for 26 years plus. That's a long time. I have 2 children, and they are both in their late 20s, and one just got married, so I'm having fun watching them go through all of that new married stuff. And we want to just welcome all of you here and know that just what Mrs. Mankus said, we are all here to help you. I have witnessed it and been a part of it for the last 5 years. Everyone has helped me get acclimated to the programs, and it's a great place to be. So thank you for being here, and thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, teachers. We appreciate it. All right, Dr. Freitag, we're going to kick it back to you to address the elephant in the Zoom room regarding when and if we will start school, and maybe just update everybody on some of those generals. There's a lot that we don't know, but as you were telling us before, our intent is to start school on time with everyone at school all the time.
Right. Yeah, and I'll also add, too, I think it's very important, like with all of them, my wife, Ann, and I had 5 kids. I'd introduce you to Ann and my middle daughter, but they're at the seamstress picking up her wedding dress because she's getting married this Saturday.
Woo!
And then the big thing, reception, is in January. So if we had a few hours, I'd tell you all about that. And then, look to the future. I mean, it's really beautiful. So our youngest, a boy, he's actually going to be a senior in high school now, and he and one of our other daughters are making dinner right now for us. So, they're all great ages, really beautiful ages. So about COVID and Corona. So our plan and our goal that we're working towards, of course, is to have everyone in school full time, every day. The only way that I see at this time, anyway, that we would not be able to do that is if the St. Louis County Health Department specifically said, you can only have so many children in a room at one time. Let's say it was 15 and they put a number on it, that we just could not meet. Unless they put that kind of really strict, kind of restriction on us. But, our first plan, we've got a really dynamic committee. Our first meeting's, tomorrow to review this. We won't know a whole lot until probably after July 4th, when the St. Louis County Health Department is supposed to promulgate, their directives specifically for the, the K through 12 schools. But our plan, like I said, is to be in session with everyone, following all the healthy protocols, that are strongly recommended. We'll distance the kids as far as we can in the classrooms. There'll be a lot of hand washing. they'll be facing a certain direction. They'll be really kind of self-contained to minimize movement. They may have to eat in their classrooms. The art, music, teachers, those folks might have to come into a classroom. So these are the kind of guidelines that we would work within, as directed again, by the county. So we really don't know specifically yet. It's a lot easier to be a little stricter and then, relax as the experts say, that's okay. You don't need to. I don't really know any more specifics yet as far as, will kids have to wear a mask or not, or, that kind of thing. We're just waiting on that. So I don't know if someone has a, question they want to throw in the chat or, anything else, but.
Don, I know some of these, there were a couple other related COVID questions besides the larger umbrella of, if we will open or not.
Yeah.
Could you just review and maybe throw it to one of the teachers? How did we handle that stay-at-home order? Gina and I experienced it firsthand, but these are new parents on the Zoom who didn't experience what St. Peter did to get us through that. So could you kind of just give a top-line view of how St. Peter approached that stay-at-home order, that learning, distance learning?
Right.
Especially from a pre-K and K standpoint, which is hard.
Yeah, it is. So what we followed in the Archdiocese and, all the public schools followed, and just to interject there, the schools in St. Louis County, I think in general will look very similar in their operation. We're not going to be just a rogue school that decides, some things, on our own, without that larger guidance and consultation. So when St. Louis County, mandated that stay-at-home order, unless you're a real essential business, and they're real specific about that. We initially sent the kids home with all their textbooks, workbooks, any other, learning materials that we thought they would need, and we did that right at spring break. We thought, like everyone else, this might be a week or two, and then as things evolved, of course, it became longer. So then we adjusted our plan with here's our weekly schedule, here's when your classes are engaged and what they're going to do. We have a parent portal, online portal, that we disseminated a lot of our information, the assignments and projects and that sort of thing. A lot of the teachers, especially in the older grades, use Google Classroom. There was a lot of email push out. There were different Zoom sessions held by teachers to engage kids and like our reading specialist, she had set Zoom meetings, with kids on her weekly schedule. Kids would do work, submit work, push out more work, more instruction, kind of go back and forth that way. That's basically what we did and tried to strike a balance that would work, in a full K through 8, school. Many dynamics with the working parents, parents with multiple children or with little children, or, how much, were we really asking of them? How much was reasonable? We ended up loaning out about 50 Chromebooks, just for internet access. So that's what, we did. We are reviewing that plan. So if, in theory, if we said, hey, we need to be closed for a few days or some time, specifically if the county dictated it, we would be ready to say, okay, next week we're virtual, and people would know what that means through training and guidance and be directed to the portal and Google Classroom and get their information that way.
And I will say, just from our family's experience, that, you know, not only were Dr. Freitag and Renee Chauvin, you know, definitely amenable to feedback and answering questions and taking suggestions, but our classroom teachers, I mean, they listened, we dialogued about it. It wasn't just, I'm handing you this, this is what we're doing. It was definitely a relationship and a conversation, and gosh, nobody's ever done this before. We're gonna try to make it work. So I really appreciated that approach, considering that this was brand new for everyone.
Right.
Do any of you
I would agree
teachers
with
have
that.
anything
As a
to add
parent-
about, you know, just the distance learning at that level with younger ones?
Right. So one of the things, you know, we found very effective too, and I think the teachers can weigh in here, was, you know, giving the hands-on work really to the kids, you know, to be able to do. We don't know if there may be some kind of pickup system or something where you can get the physical materials and activities, you know, to actually do with the kids. It's not all just virtual and Zooming or being on an app. You know, we use all that, but the kids need the tactile and to be able to construct and do, particularly at, you know, at these ages. I don't know if the teachers want to weigh in on that. Ms. Skaggs, Amy?
When we were told to, you know, we may not be coming back after spring break, you know, we got together, we said, well, what's the most important? You know, what do we want them, you know, to continue? You know, we have things that they've been doing every day that, you know, is routine for them. They know what to do. Let's make sure those things are sent home, that they know how to do it. Their parents don't need to help them. They can feel, you know, some sense of normalcy still in their life. So we sent home, you know, those types of things. We sent home packets. And most of our material was, you know, review of things that we've been doing, things that we knew that they could do successfully, you know, on their own or with little help. And they had choices. So that was a big thing, you know, in our classroom, they get choices. So, you know, activities, we sent them, you know, a list of, you know, 20, 25 things. Pick 3 things to do today, pick 3 things to do, you know, the next day. And then intermixed in that, you know, was a couple lessons that were, you know, maybe, you know, watch this video and here's a worksheet to go with it. You know, we sent them a couple things that they were required to do that day. Send it, you know, send a picture of it whenever you get around to it. And then there was, you know, try to spend 20 to 30 minutes on an extra, you know, as a choice activity. We also send out optional things, you know, for them to do. There were a lot of, you know, people that still wanted to do, you know, a little bit more or a little bit more challenging things. So we sent out, you know, some optional activities, and most all of our kids did it. That's the thing that they really wanted to do. So, you know, and we really did, I think, you know, work with the parents, you know, who are having trouble with the portal. Well, can we still email it to, you know, they could email us, you know, they can ask us questions. And I think, you know, we were all pretty, you know, on it of getting back to them in a timely manner. And, you know, if somebody didn't send an assignment that day, you know what, it's okay. We're all, you know, trying to figure it out. So
we had a few days like that for my kids, and I have middle school kids. Sometimes we just still couldn't do it. Speaking of the portal, Diane, because we've mentioned it quite a few times, so I want to let the new families know, do we know when a time frame that the new families might get kind of their new portal login and some directions? I know when you and I and Katie met, we talked about having kind of a learning hour on how to use it and all the different features. It was new to all of St. Peter last year, so some of us are still learning. And I think that we have found it was a way to a trial by fire there when we had to go to the remote learning. We learned it could do all sorts of other things.
So currently, actually, this week and next week, we're transferring all of the new families that are on the admissions side of the portal into the actual school portal that tracks their grades and everything else, along with moving everybody up a level. So if you had a current 7th grader, they're moving up to 8th grade and that sort of thing. So that's happening right now. And so as soon as all of that is done, then we'll start setting up the portal parts for the families, and then get those logins sent out to people. And then we're able to see when you log in the first time to make sure that, you know, if we are getting closer to the beginning of school and we notice that, you know, Katie Martin has not logged in, that there might be a problem, we'll reach out and say, you know, have you just not done it? Have you not gotten it? Are you having trouble? That sort of thing. So we'll make sure everybody's on and comfortable with getting in.
The other thing that I would suggest to the new families is to maybe have your, you know, if we get to a point where you feel comfortable meeting in person from a distance, maybe have your mentor family walk you through it or show you the ways that they used it for the distance learning, how to get the messages from the teachers and what they look like, the different sections. It's just sometimes easier to do it that way, to have somebody show you how they've utilized it in the past. But everybody on the call is more than willing to walk you guys through anything you might need.
Right. And just on the portal, to give the new parents a kind of big picture thing, we still have regular email that is heavily used. A lot of the communication goes forth through your regular email. You know, most of you are your personal email as opposed to your business. Every staff member is first initial last name at stpteach.com. So stpteach.com. That's the, you know, kind of quickest, easiest way. The portal's heavily used to look at your kids' assignments, to look at your kids' grades, to look at their schedule. There may be a particular message from a teacher, but the kind of the day in, day out email, it goes a lot through your regular email. Would you think that's accurate, Katie and Gina?
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
And we created last year a kind of frequently asked questions for the new families on all the different technology things that we use. So the portal will be one, and we'll send you a list of some of the others. You'll hear the word Flocknote, and that means it's an email from the parish, not the school. Classrooms use Shutterfly to kind of keep together pictures and activities. That's usually run by the room moms. So we have kind of a list of frequently used apps, if you will. One of them is the Facebook page that you put St. Peter parents Facebook page. It's just for kind of connecting people and asking simple questions. So we'll make sure that you have a list of what all those are, and then you'll be able to get on the portal as soon as Diane gets everybody set up, and you'll get an email with that information. Cool. A couple other, I'm just going to kind of go down our list. I don't see anybody typing in the chat yet, but that is just fine. We will go through what we have here.
There's actually one. Jane, I'm going to interrupt. We do have a question in there, and it ended up just coming to me.
Just comes to you. Okay.
Which is fine. This parent is asking about children dealing with some separation anxiety after spending so much time at home with family, which is understandable. And this is really to the teachers. Is that something that you guys are preparing and anticipating with the start of the school year? And is there any advice for maybe those at home whose kids might have some separation anxieties? I know you guys deal with this every year anyway, but this might be a banner year for separation anxiety. So any one of you, Amy, do you want to take that one?
Anakin or Mankus?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I was looking at Mankus. Amy, Anakin was over to the side.
Go ahead, Mrs. Mankus.
Well, I would say that we do our best job of zeroing in on the kids, you know, welcoming them, kind of soothing them, kind of getting them into the classroom and distracted by busyness. We have a routine of coming into the classroom and following procedures. So typically they would sign a binder for attendance and put their bumblebee up for their promise to be a good friend for the day, and choose what their lunch program is going to be, hot lunch or home lunch. And I understand that those things will be taking on new format, because we won't be offering the same kinds of activities, but to hug and kiss and let your kids know that you love them, that you're going to be back, you want to hear about their fun day. Let them come in as quickly as possible so that we can get them involved and engaged in their daily activities right away. So certainly we will care for them very tenderly, but to hang in the hallway at the door and prolong the separation is not good for your kids or you or us. So it's as hard as it is, you really have to peel them off and tell them, I want to hear all about it when I pick you up.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. It's been a while since I had a kindergartner, but will you just remind everybody they do kind of a staggered start for kindergarten? They don't start on the first day as everybody else. Can you just remind us of that for the kindergarten parents?
We hope to have a small group, kind of an invitation, maybe a 45-minute period of time, 30 minutes to 45 minutes period of time, where they might come in with just a few of their new classmates. Hopefully it'll be friends that they're familiar with, either from the neighborhood or a soccer team or t-ball team or something. So they're going to kind of have old but make new right off the bat. And so again, I'm not quite sure how our procedures will look this year, but it could just kind of have a feel of the classroom, of some of the expectations of where their hooks are, where their cubbies are, where their tubbies are, what special places are for them. So if that looks like something different, they will have their special spot and know that they are important in that room, and we're expecting them to come in, and there's a place for them to be with us from the get-go. So after they meet a small group, then they come in for a half day and see their larger group, and then they begin with a full day program or a mixed day program, whatever they choose. But it's kind of a gradual growing into the space, and not just thrown in and, oh my goodness, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? We kind of, we have in the past, walked the stairs and show the kids, your right hand is on the railing, and this is when you come to the first floor, this is where we'll be taking attendance to the office and picking up special things from the mailbox, and walk to if we're using drinking fountains, we're just going to talk about some of those initial procedures so that they feel like, oh yeah, I got this. I know what I can do and how I'm going to do it. So it's not just a what, it's a how. How will this happen? And I think that kind of builds their confidence and gives them the security to know that, oh, I can handle this. This is for me, and I can't wait to come back tomorrow.
How about pre-K? Do the pre-K teachers want to talk about that?
Sure. I mean, it's the same way with us, with Mrs. Yeager and myself. Same thing. We know they're going to come in, they're 4, they're scared, they don't want to leave mom. But as Mrs. Manka said, the quicker the better. Let us just take your child, not literally take your child, but just come on, let's get in, let's start playing. Look, there's Play-Doh out, there's other toys, just come in, start playing with your friends, it'll be okay. And we let parents stay a few minutes, of course, and say their goodbyes, and then we kind of gently say, okay, go. Why don't you run to Starbucks or Great Harvest, get coffee, you're fine, and then it's letting those parents know through a quick text from our aides saying they're fine, they're okay, they've stopped crying. But I think parents need that too, to know they're fine, and that's what we try to do. So basically the same thing as kindergarten does, just really reassuring the children, mom's gonna come back, dad's gonna come back, it's okay. And usually within, I say 5-10 minutes, they've stopped crying and they're off playing with something in the room. So Mrs. Yeager, do you have anything else to say?
Right, I agree with that. I just wanted to remind the parents that we do have an aide in there to help us at all times, and that's a great asset.
Right.
Yeah, awesome.
And Becky, you can even speak to, these kids within a week or two of starting school, these 4 and 5-year-olds kind of start acting like they own the place.
Oh, yes.
They get very comfortable very quickly. At least mine always did.
Yeah, they do. And I think you know, we also have a full-time counselor, you know, if she needs to get involved. We also have all the patience in the world. You know, every year there may be, you know, a child that takes a long time, or then there's Christmas break, and you know, or they are dealing with some kind of, you know, anxiety, and you know, that's okay. I mean, we're here, you know, for the long haul. You know, so don't worry about that. Also, if you find that your kid just wants to jump out of the car and run in by themselves, and you're like, well, wait a minute, you know, don't you need me? You know, and they're like, no, Mom, Dad, you taught me how to be independent. You know, I can handle this. You know, and let them do that. That shows growth.
I think one of the best things about St. Peter is so many of our children have older siblings, and it's really great when a second grade brother or sister is walking in their pre-K or kindergarten child. It's really an amazing thing to see that this older sibling is like, you're fine, I'll bring you to your classroom, and the younger sibling likes it and the older sibling feels great. So that's the really beautiful thing about St. Peter.
That happened with my rising first grader, but also my oldest. I was so worried about it. And the first day I walked him in, second day I was walking up the steps with him, and he turned around and said, I've got it. You don't have to walk me any further. I was like, oh, all right, you go ahead.
Yeah.
You know, so it's surprising how quick they get it. This is a nitty gritty question, but you know, the start time for everybody is the same, whether you know, pull up in the parking lot and have them get out themselves and walk into the building, or whether you park and walk them in, that start time is the same. The end time, pre-K and kindergarten get out a little bit earlier, probably like, what would you say, 5-10 minutes earlier than the rest of the school, just to stagger it a little bit and give the little ones time to connect with a parent standing there before, you know, 1st through 8th grade comes out the door. Do you guys want to say anything about dismissal and how that looks?
In past years, I don't know.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
This is one of those, what we know for now is.
Right.
And what we know for now is that I guess that they will be attended at dismissal time. A teacher or an aide will stay and watch. Kindergarten kids are not allowed to go to cars, to go to their parents. They have to be picked up. And so typically we come out those Adams lot doors on the playground lot and go to the right, and we kind of sit on that wall just by the 6th grade classroom windows. A lot of the parents begin to gather right there at the curb where the sidewalk is. So if you are there, they can go right to you. We kind of are in the habit to have them turn and say, you know, my mom's here, or I see my grandma, you know, I can go. So we're always kind of keeping tabs on them, but they don't get around to the front of the school, or they don't get to walk around and meet their 1st grade brother or sister. They have to be picked up from us under our watchful eye. If you're not there by the 3:15, 3:20 mark, then we either go into the office and make a phone call, or, you know, stay with them until they are picked up.
Yeah. Also, if they're in aftercare, you know, the assistant teacher will take the kids down to aftercare directly, you know, and make sure they're connected with the aftercare people.
And if it's a mixed day dismissal, we tend to do that. We have in the past done that on the Jefferson side. There's a little bench and a waiting area that's heading over to the church parking lot, and we ask for the people who are picking up those kindergartners to come all the way over safely using the crosswalk to pick up their kids and then head back to their respective cars. But and that has always been to allow for lunchtime and recess. The playground is full for cars who would be coming to pick up at that time. So that's split. But if it was a half day for the whole school, then we would do all our dismissals on the Adams lot. Right. Again, a little bit earlier than the 12 o'clock straight up hour because of letting them get their
and that's
their share of time to get to their parents.
And that's the same thing for pre-K. If you're half day, we dismiss on the Adams lot at 11:30, and full days, same thing, Adams Lot. We actually come out right at 3 o'clock to before the kindergartners come out. And again, same thing, please come up to us, pick up your child, make sure you make eye contact with us to say that your child has been picked up. And it's helpful if you're not picking up your child that day, or grandma, grandpa, that you send us a note saying someone else will be picking up your child.
So start time is 8 to 8:10 is when people arrive, and then pickup starts at 3 o'clock for the little ones, and by 3:10 is when the rest of the kids come out. I saw a question about the kind of parking lot. We'll send a map. The best thing to do is come the first day and just watch how it goes. It takes a long while to explain, and so visually it's much better. If they got it nice and mapped out, two sides, the Adams lot and the Jefferson lot. Adams lot is the one with the playground. Jefferson is one where the church is. And so you'll see that. That'll make a lot of sense. We did have a pre-submitted question about lunches. And I know this may be one that's changing, about pre-K and kindergarten for half day, if they bring their lunch and eat there or not. And then will there be a change overall? Are people supposed to bring their lunch all the time now? Do we have any news on that, Dr. Freitag or teachers?
Yes. Again, this is one of those procedural things. In the spirit of, minimizing movement and face-to-face larger group contact, it's likely that the students in all grades will eat in their classrooms. So we're going to really advocate water primarily, or juice box, no soda, please. And we think with the food, we have a full food service, but we think they'll be able to offer what we call a grab and go, or kind of a bag lunch option for you. You tell your child ahead of time, you don't have to like call it in. You do not have to call it in, or, your kid just picks that and then it gets delivered, to their classroom. But there will probably not be a hot lunch program. The pre-K kids all eat in their room anyway, all year. They do not eat in the lunchroom. So you do send them with a lunch.
For half day pre-K or kindergarten, they do have snack in the morning, right? But then eat lunch at home?
Correct. Yeah.
That would be another thing the younger kids, what is it, 3rd grade and down, have snack in the morning because they have a little bit later lunch.
Yes. And a little snack like in a Ziploc or a package thing. It's up to you whether you want it to be, preferably not, like full size candy bars, because kids argue over those. But it can be a granola bar, or chips, or I don't know, something like that.
Wonderful. We had a few questions. Uniforms, it is in the student handbook, which is on the parish website. So you don't need the portal or anything like that. So if you go to, I think it's St. Peter Kirkwood. Yes, stpeterkirkwood.org, and you click on education, our school, and you'll see it says 2019-2020 handbook. So you'll have to maybe disregard some of that stuff as it might change, but we have confirmed that the uniform policy is not changing. So it's all laid out there. And then I saw a question about supply list. That is, I know they posted it on the St. Peter Facebook page, and we can also email it out afterwards.
Yeah,
as well.
We'll attach it. The uniforms, if you have any nitty-gritty questions, like I know a lot of times when we're in person meeting, people have questions about belts, socks, hair accessories, all that kind of stuff. The best resource is your mentor family. We tried our best when we paired everyone together to do it by gender, to do it by age. So, if you have an incoming kindergarten girl, you're probably paired with somebody who has a 1st or 2nd grade girl, so a lot of those questions can be answered by your mentor family, or posted. That's a good thing to post on the parent page. A lot of times people will say, oh, can they wear this kind of tennis shoe? Or I bought these socks, are they okay? Is this belt going to be acceptable? Those are all kind of, just simple, easy questions that a veteran parent can type right back on the parent page and answer that very quickly. Anything else?
Yeah.
No, someone had asked specifically about, is there a specific type of bag, book bag for pre-K or K? So I didn't know if the teachers had any notes on that about, not too huge. They do bring some stuff home maybe, but it doesn't need to be large.
So we have bags that parents buy through Julie Golomsky, and I think they're $14, $15, or a tote bag has the St. Peter, I think, logo on it and your child's name on it. But that seems to work best with the cubbies and putting folders in. So we do ask that for pre-K.
And we'll send that ordering information with the supply list and everything.
For kindergarten, I would just suggest that the kids have a little bit of practice with all the zippers and buckles and buttons before they come to school. And if you could designate for them a specific, like this front pouch is where you will always find your snack, or this is where you're putting your snack so that when you get to school, you will be able to find it, then they're not hunting all over, because a lot of them come with quite a few compartments. So you want the zipper to be easy for them to maneuver. You want it to be wide enough that it will hold a regulation size folder so they're not curled over, bent in, or caught up inside. So just, have a few practice moments with your book bag before you bring it in. And I would suggest not a lot of flair on the outside. Don't bring a lot of noisemakers and distractions that are going to keep them having show and tell at the coat hooks. You want them to unpack, hang it up, come away from it.
Awesome. Now that we're talking about snack and backpacks, does anybody know, or can we talk a little bit about what recess is going to look like?
Yes. We have a little, idea about that. So, recess is going to look like the kids having designated areas. And again, we're going to look to that county guideline, but it will be kind of sectioned off, knowing that, okay, this section area is your little area for your class. And that's going to take some extra monitoring, because what we're trying to avoid are, large groups of kids, congregating and just violating all of the social distancing things that we're trying to do within the school building. So, today, it looks a little, more than a little, kind of highly structured. It just does, but they're outside and they're walking and playing a few games and, that kind of thing. I've not made a decision yet on will we allow them on the jungle gym or not. I know it sounds funny because you say, well, hey, I drive by the school and I see kids all over that jungle gym, and they don't have masks on and they aren't social distancing, and these kids are going to camp already this summer, into pools and things like that. Again, even if all that's working well, we're going to make sure we're following, with good conscience and professionally, guidelines that we feel are protecting the children as much as we can, and still working within a manageable, realistic, framework.
Right.
Thank you.
They'll get outside, and we'll encourage teachers, for example, they may just take their own class out to the picnic tables for a little while. They may take their own class out for a little walk around the block, or a visit, to a garden, and that kind of thing, just throughout the day. It'll be more of that kind of thing as opposed to that huge playground full of all the kids.
And there will be a walking field trip form that covers
permission.
Basically in your intro packet. So
we did have a question about physicals, but it also just made me think of, we did have a full-time nurse on staff. I know that we lost Nurse Pam last year. Dr. Freitag, do we have a new school nurse?
We do. We do. We have an experienced RN. She's worked with children before. She's actually, she's been on board pre-COVID for a few weeks. And by the way, Nurse Pam is doing really well. She works for the Cardinal Glennon School Partnership. And there's 3 nurses that really are employed by the Archdiocese that work through Cardinal Glennon that advise all the Catholic schools. We happen to have our own full-time nurse, and she has a very strong relationship with Pam Colson. So she's already been advising us. For example, she's watching all the CDC guidelines. She just sent me information, for example, on what schools in Boston, are doing and for reopening, and she's really on it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So the specific question was also about required physicals. I believe it's okay if it has been, as long as they've had a physical in the last 12 months, and then they need a copy of the immunization records. Is that correct? It's not like they had to have one right in June, right before school or something. Yes,
that's correct. They're good. Immunization, getting that information in, that's a showstopper. If you don't, by the deadline, we're going to call you and say, sorry, your kid can't come to school. That doesn't typically happen, but just please, send that in. That can be mailed in as an attachment, and we actually still have a fax machine. If you call your doctor's office, sometimes we only fax them over or whatever.
Right. We do. So Ann Murphy and Patty Weber are the wonderful women who man kind of the front desk. So if you were to call in, they're super helpful with any of these questions. And Mrs. Murphy actually helped me sneak out a back door once when my kid was crying and it could not be peeled off me. She gave him, when we were talking about separation anxiety, he was 8, so we couldn't do anything about it. So she gave him a project and snuck me out the back door. But all that to say, so they kind of run the operation at the front desk, and people you will get to know really quickly, but just, again, part of that huge support system that we have.
Yeah. Just a reminder, this session is being recorded, so you can go back and watch it again. If you're attending and your husband had to work or something like that, or, you feel like you missed something, you're more than welcome to watch it again. We're going to send a follow-up email with some of the things in the chat that we need to follow up on: supply list, uniform information, links on our website of existing things that are already there. Even though you can't access the portal quite yet, there are some things that are on our website that you can use that would be helpful. And again, reach out to your mentor family. They're there to help, but they also, they haven't met you in person yet, so they don't want to pry, but, anything. I was asking my mentor mom about socks and belts and all that kind of stuff, and she took it in stride. She's like, that's why I'm here, to answer the silly questions. Dr. Freitag and the teachers can answer the hard stuff. So please reach out to them, because they're, they volunteered to be our mentor for that reason. Gina, anything else?
Well, I was going to say, you can always email us as well. If they're on vacation or you just can't quite get a hold of them, feel free to email us. We didn't take a specific family so that we could be here for everyone and kind of fill in those gaps. And so the last thing I thought of is, we usually have a party team. We usually get all of us together. Hopefully we'll be able to do that at some point. We have a wonderful parishioner, a parent who's volunteered for home, and it's a really great time for us all to get together. We usually do it in August. We'll see what the guidelines are if we're able to do that. So more info to come. And we have just a few minutes left, so I thought I would just open it up to if the teachers have any other words of wisdom or tips or tricks.
I hope this isn't just words, but with the parents, these teachers, these staff members, these fellow parents, we really love and care about your children and your families. We really do. We know they're God's gifts. We know they're the most, I was going to say important things, but they aren't things. They're the most important souls you know, that you value them above everything, as you well should. And we understand that, and we take that very seriously with you. So we really are here for you. If you're thinking about something for your child and for St. Peter school and community, you know, we want to know, we want to be with you. We want to answer it. We want to, you know, walk right with you the whole way, and just really bank on that. We really are here, and we're really grateful you chose St. Peter. By the way, on my Zoom meetings, I tell the teachers silence is agreement. So I know the parents all are on mute.
Well, we muted everybody. So.
Well, yeah, so you'd agree. But we mean that. We're just really, we're just so grateful you're here. And by the way, I put Mrs. Weber and Mrs. Murphy's email up there on the chat. You know, they really are great go-to. You know, they will answer all those little detail, you know, questions, and they're there during the summer too. So it's A Murphy at stpteach.com and P Weber stpteach.com.
And we did get a question in at the buzzer here about the opportunity to access assignments and curriculum for students who are not planning to attend in the classroom, whether if it's a day or a week, or, you know, if they, like we had this happen, so I have a daughter in high school. So let's say she goes to high school and it's exposed to somebody. And so then my kid, you know, we all need to quarantine for 2 weeks. Do we know what that might look like?
Yes, we do.
Big question at the buzzer.
Yeah. We're formulating that, but the short answer to that is yes, there is an opportunity. Assignments and the work will be posted, you know, on the portal. We're expanding Google Classroom, probably maybe even, you know, I mean, into the younger grades. I'm not sure about preschool, but that's where the assignments will be. And then we're discerning in our program, I think I can say with confidence that we will not try to simultaneously offer virtual learning and in-session learning. That's too overwhelming. Really, it's not very possible. However, we do envision, I envision, we'll see how it would work, that a child at home maybe could Zoom in for a little piece of class or some instruction, you know, and see their classmates, or, you know, hear their teacher. And then by watching that Google Classroom, you know, the portal, get the work and an instruction.
I think it's safe to say the next several weeks are going to be very enlightening as we learn more about what the archdiocesan directives are and the CDC's directives, and then just what our own school team of, you know, teachers and aides and specialty instructors that have been doing this for a few months now, what they come up with, because, you know, it is a really dynamic group of people, of all very experienced educators, that I think, I mean, would you all agree that in the next probably 3 or 4 weeks, we're gonna have a lot more answers, to these questions that I think right now we have a lot of, I don't know yet.
But you're in good hands, new families. You're in great hands. So
yeah, we do know a lot of things. We did survey through the diocese and ourselves, all the parents and the staff, and got a lot of feedback about distance learning and how we can improve it and enhance it. And this will actually be something that we can carry forward and that will strengthen our school even when we're regular, full-time, you know, normal, you know, school a year from now. A kid who's out with some illness, or, you know, has, you know, some extended reason, they're at home or away, you know, they'll have much greater access to all of their learning. It's going to be good.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. We wish we could be there in person, but this is second best. And as we continue to learn more, and, you know, decisions continue to be made, we'll make sure that everyone is receiving, you know, new families are receiving the information just as veteran families are.
And we'll make this this Zoom call available to everybody. We can send that out to anybody that wants to rewatch it.
And you know, maybe I could close with this. One of the things we do with our faith is we very early on teach all the kids the guardian angel prayer. You know, we teach all the other prayers, of course, and beyond that, how to become intimate with our Lord. But if you can teach them the guardian angel prayer, we'll say it to close here. Teach it to them early, have it, and they'll come in. They'll be a rock star. They'll know it already, and they'll be rolling along. We try to teach the kids that, you know, first thing you wake up in the morning or you come down to breakfast, you know, say it. Even the older kids, you know, say it privately, and you know, let the Lord know you're there and you're ready to live your day. So can we close with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll lead it so you all don't have to chime along, if that's okay. I mean, in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Angel of God, our guardian dear, to whom God's love commits us here. Ever this day be at our side,
To light,
to guard, to rule, to guide. Amen. Saint Peter,
Pray for us.
pray for us. Amen. Thank you.